Hey guys, how y'all doing today? My name is Franchise Fanatic and welcome back to the channel. And today, if you guys, this is another Star Wars related video. Now, I recently put out my Why I Love the Sequel Trilogy video, and if you haven't seen that, I'll try to link it down in the description below. So basically, the gist of that video was me essentially talking about The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker, and why, in my opinion, they are a flawless, perfect set of films. They are by far the best I've ever seen in my entire life. Nothing can ever beat that. However, I was not going to do the prequel and original trilogies. However, some commenter said, hey, Franchise, do the prequels. So I'm going to do the prequels, and then in a few days here I'm going to do with the originals. So let me just get this out of the way. I think all Star Wars is good. If you haven't figured that out yet, I love it all. I love the sequels the most, but I love them all as well. You know, I don't like, oh, the prequels suck, or, you know, the originals suck. You know, I'm not like that. I love them all. Now, that being said, I do think that the prequel trilogy is the weakest trilogy, and I'll get to that. But we're going to start off with The Phantom Menace Episode 1. So, a lot of people had a problem with Episode 1 because of essentially what came before. Now, I'm looking at this film franchise from 1 to 9, not 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8. You know what I mean? I'm starting at number 1. So, for me, and that's not the way I think saw it, but whatever. So basically what ends up happening is Obi-Wan Kenobi and Padawan and Qui-Gon Jinn are trying to do like a little trade dispute, and that's kind of the essence of Episode 1. Sheev Palpatine is basically just trying to start, trying to, I guess, not only manipulate Anakin, but also kind of F up and manipulate the entire Jedi Order and the Council. And to do that, he needs to start slow. And I think that's why, I might make a video on it soon, but I think Palpatine is the best villain in film history. And this is one of the reasons why he's so freaking good, is because he doesn't just, he's not just evil and he's like, power! He's not just screeching like an idiot. At this point, he's trying to essentially gather his forces, gather his power through, negotiating through political systems. Sounds a little bit familiar, but I do think that, a lot of that element is in there where, you're trying to say, okay, I can understand why Palpatine does that, and I understand why he's doing what he's doing here. And then, of course, we get all the performances. So, Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan Kenobi, they're all good. Liam Neeson's good. Ewan McGregor is probably the best actor out of anyone in the prequels, and, of course, that is apparent because, he's going to be getting his own TV show with Hayden Christensen as well, called Obi-Wan Kenobi, coming out apparently this year in 2022. Make sure to look out for that. But, we've got so many awesome moments in Episode 1, and I think that it's probably my least favorite to watch because it's a little bit slow. I do think it's a good film. I think the pod racing scene is really good, even though 99% of the shots are, the same freaking shot layout, but it's still fun to watch. I think the CGI for 1999 for its time, pretty good. The battle droids look really kind of photorealistic at times. Jar Jar Binks, I actually think is a pretty good character. I think that the Gungans are really cool. Oda Gunga's a cool place, kind of below Naboo, I guess. But there's a lot of unique locations in this film, in the prequel trilogy itself, that are really freaking neat. And I think that the prequels have some of the best planets in the entire Skywalker saga. But going back to Jar Jar, I think he's a really good character. I think that, yeah, he's stupid, and he's funny, and kind of idiotic, but that's the effing point, you know what I mean? And I hate the argument where they go, well, Jar Jar Binks is for children, this movie's for children. It's like, no, Jar Jar Binks was not made for little babies, you know what I mean? Like, humor is universal. I'm freaking 23, and I laugh at Jar Jar Binks, because he's effing funny. It's not because I'm 2, you know what I mean? It's such a dumb thing to say. And then, of course, you get the CGI of him, which is actually pretty freaking good. They basically had Ahmed Best, this, like, Caribbean, I think, dude, or whatever, some black dude, and they put him in, like, this weird, like, mask, and, Ewan McGregor and, Natalie Portman, they can't just look at Ahmed Best's eyes, because they'll be looking at Jar Jar Binks' neck, so they had to look above him into, like, these little tennis ball looking things. So, it's kind of unique what they did. And Jar Jar Binks really is a hallmark in CGI in terms of motion capture and all that stuff, so it's pretty cool. But, the plot kind of is a little bit slow. I get that. There's a lot of political dispute, a lot of stuff like that in the council with the weird, like, Beyblade looking chairs, but I think it's interesting. It sets the stage for the Skywalker saga in a really interesting way. Yeah, it's not the most action-packed movie or the most badass or the most intense, but it is really fun to watch because of the seeds being planted. The Phantom Menace is not only referencing young Anakin, it's also mentioning, referencing Palpatine. And I do think that the acting, let me just get this out of the way. The prequel trilogy has some shit acting. I'm just gonna, that's the best way I could put it. It's really bad sometimes. Really bad. But in this film, Liam Neeson's good. Ewan McGregor's really good. Jar Jar Binks is fine. Natalie Portman is okay. She's like 18 or 19 by the time they filmed this. Look, she's not that great. I think, maybe 16, 17, I don't know. But she's not that good. She's not bad, but there's a lot of moments where it's, and I get it when she's Queen Amidala, she kind of has to be stoic and kind of cold looking, but I don't know. And then of course we get Jake Lloyd, who people bullied him so much, he's basically a criminal. I think he's in jail or something, and I'm not kidding, he's literally an effed up dude. And I feel bad for him. I don't know if it was just the haters and the crybaby retards online. That is the definition of a fake fan. You know, this goes beyond trying to retcon crap and decanonize shite. If you're gonna make fun of people, you're an asshole. Don't do that. You know what I mean? I don't care if you didn't. I don't love Jake Lloyd as Anakin. You know, I don't love Daniel Logan as Baby Boba in Episode 2. But I'm not gonna go harass him online. You know what I mean? Kelly Marie Tran. Just stop doing that shite, alright? You're an idiot if you do that. But Jake Lloyd in this film is not that bad. In fact, upon rewatching this film a few times when I do my marathons, he's not that freaking bad. I mean, I gotta admit, you know, he's not great, but, you know, I mean, look, Harry Potter, Ron and Hermione in the older Harry Potter films are 10 times better than Jake Lloyd, but for a kid actor, he's not that bad. In terms of the writing, this one doesn't have that many bad lines. I think that there's a few really good ones, but in terms of, you know, bad lines, I really couldn't come up any at the top of my head. Maybe like, you assume too much. I mean, that's alright. I don't know, it's weird. I can't really think of any. I think that Newt Gunray going, took him away, is just kind of like, ugh. Like, that makes me cringe. It's like the most feminine, like, took him away. It's like, God, don't do that. You know what I mean? It's weird. And I know that's how they talk. It's just funny how George Lucas was like, oh, yeah, that works. That's fine. Just, you know, go with it. I don't know that's how he did it, but whatever. What was the other line? Oh yeah, you can see freaking, there's a shot of Queen Amidala before she's taken away by the battle droids, and there's literally a power cable literally plugged into a friggin' outlet into her dress so that her dress will light up. So there's, you know, look, my problem with the prequels, besides the writing and some of the acting, is that there's a lot of moments that feel cheap and rushed, and it's like George Lucas didn't really put a whole lot of care into it. I feel like he had a really awesome idea, but the execution wasn't that great. It felt rushed, and not a lot of love was put into it. Again, I'm not trying to bash the prequels. I do love watching them, but there are problems. And that's coming from me, who I literally think the sequels are flawless films. You know, I'm not going to sit there and say these are flawless. You know what I mean? I do love them to death, and I think all Star Wars is good, but I have to be honest with you guys. There's a few problems with Episode 1, but it is a fun movie. Darth Maul's awesome. The final fight is amazing. Pod racing scene, there's a lot of really standout scenes. And then we're going to move on to, of course, Attack of the Clones, Episode 2. And basically what ends up happening is this is where Hayden Christensen comes into the scene. And ever since the first elevator ride with him and Obi-Wan, it's just awkward and cringy as get out. You know, he's like, Obi-Wan's like, you're sweating. What's wrong? And he's like, I haven't seen Padme in whatever, 10 years. And he's like, not since you rescued me out of the gun docks. He's like, oh. It's like, what the fuck is this conversation? You know, what's going on here? It's just really weird. Ewan McGregor is great, of course. Hayden Christensen is, I don't know how to feel about him, because apparently George Lucas was like, act this way, act stone cold, act like a freaking idiot, act like, I'm honored. Thank you. I am sad. Hello. That's how he effing acts in this film. I mean, he's literally just Stonewall Jackson. He doesn't want to omit any emotion at all. It's crazy. So maybe that's why he intentionally did it, because he's a crazy troubled teen, whatever. And I understand that, because I know the canon. You know, I mean, he's basically been growing up in the Jedi Temple for essentially 10 years without seeing a girl or anyone in general. So I mean, hell, if that happened to me, I'd be doing the same thing. I'd be like, hello, you human, marry me. You know what I mean? That's how it would work. But I do think that besides a few of his scenes that are pretty cringy, there's a few moments that stand out. And we're going to have to talk about the sand scene, because I think it's good and bad at the same time. Okay, if I can remember the quote, it's, I don't like sand, it's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere. That line, I don't think is that bad, because people take it out of context. Because Padme's talking about she loves Naboo, she's like, I loved it here, I grew up here, I swam to that island, I did this and I did that, it was heaven. And Anakin retorts by saying, I don't like sand. Not like the granule sand shite, you know what I mean? He doesn't mean like the actual sand. He means Tatooine, the desert planet, the harsh reality of living on a desert world. That's what he effing means, not, I don't like sand, play with it. You know, he's not an idiot, you know? He's not 3 years old. So, and I think a lot of the people that criticize this scene are 3 years old. They don't know how to speak and write, because the line itself is not great, but it's not bad. It's just, in my opinion, it's the way he says it. For some ass reason, he's British, and he's really creepy, like he wants to bone Padme, which I get, who doesn't, but at the same time, it's like, you're creepy, you know? He's like, I don't like sand, It's rough and coarse and irritating, and it gets everywhere. I'm like, what the hell? What was that line? You know, George Lucas was like, perfect, it's a good shot. You know, if I'd done it, if I was Anakin, I would have said it like this. I would have said, I hate sand. It's rough and coarse and irritating. It gets everywhere. You know, I play it off more of a joke, not like I want to have sex with you right now kind of thing. So it's kind of weird how they did that, but I get the message that they're going for. The moral of the scene is good. You know, Anakin is just kind of weird. There's a few just weird moments. I think there's a really good moment though where Anakin's, of course, Shmi Skywalker, Anakin's mom dies. That's a great scene. I wish they would have kept on him beheading Tuskens for a little while longer, but whatever. I already made a video talking about how I would reshoot that scene, but I think that for some of the cringy dialogue, some of the cringy acting, especially the worst part in this film, in the entire Skywalker saga, is Anakin and Padme confessing their love after they had their dinner. It's horrible. I get the point of what they're trying to do. Anakin's like, look, I love you. If you feel these crazy ways, please don't tell. You know what I mean? I understand what they're going for. It's just the fact he's like, I love you. I'll do anything for you. You know, it's like, Jesus, calm down. You know what I mean? Holy crap. But, you know, I understand the point. But the execution of that scene is literal trash, and I effing hate it. But, again, I'm not hating. But it is bad. You know, I can admit that. It's a bad scene. It's not all bad because, like I said, I know what they're trying to do. I know what he was trying to do when he shot that scene. But dialogue's pretty wooden, kind of weird. Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. And then, of course, Padme saying, I love you. I truly, deeply love you. I get it. But no one in their right effing mind would say that. I get it's the prequels and people kind of talked a little bit different during the quote-unquote High Republic a little after that. I get it. People talked differently. You know, you go watch the prequels and the original sequels. Original sequels is more, I guess, modern way of speaking. The Jedi, you know, they're a fanatic group, and the prequels are a different era, so I guess they talk differently. But that is canon, that I understand. But at the same time, it's weird. Now, for all the weird scenes in this film that are kind of cringy and a little bit weird, the fight scenes are great. I think Jango Fett, the whole clone thing is really cool. The way he sets it up is really interesting with, you know, Jango and Boba. The fact that we get this awesome Geonosis arena fight, the Patronaki arena or whatever, the whole Geonosis fight in the end, it's a very entertaining film to watch. And I don't really understand how people can say Attack of the Clones is horrible and I will never watch it. It's trash. In my opinion, it's the worst Star Wars film ever, but it's not, like, unwatchable. You know what I mean? Like, I still watch it. I still have fun watching it. I still love it. It's just my least favorite because of some of the acting, some of the writing. But it's fun and addicting to watch, and I don't think people give that enough credit. And then we're going to move on to, of course, Revenge of the Sith, which is Episode 3, my favorite of the prequels. I think we can all agree on that for the most part. This is where the acting is the best, the writing is the best. The only real writing issue I have is when Anakin and Padme are on the balcony. They're talking about having their baby, and Anakin just says, I love you, or like, you're so beautiful. And she's like, oh, I'm only beautiful because I'm in love. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? You know what I mean? What is this dialogue? You know what I mean? It was going so well. And then she's like, you only love me because I love you because I'm pretty. And it's like, what are you saying? You know what I mean? Are you on crack? It drives me insane, that one little line. And then, of course, you know, Anakin's like, oh, I love you. And then she's like, so love has blinded you? She gets all freaking offended and pissed. I'm like, Jesus Christ, take a joke, Padme, you know, for God's sake. I know you're going to die in an hour, but jeez. So, I don't know, it's kind of strange how that all pans out. It's just a really effing weird scene. She gets all offended out of nowhere. You know, clearly Anakin's joking, and she gets, like, really pissed. It's like the ultimate, like, snowflake move. You know, like, I could say you suck at a video game, and the other guy would get, you know, how dare you? You know what I mean? That's how it was like, but whatever. That is really the only negative scene in terms of writing. I think that the acting from Hayden Christensen is a lot better. I don't know if he got, you know, acting, coaching, or whatever. There's a few scenes where, you know, Palpatine ranks him up and he goes, I'm overwhelmed. Thank you. It's like, there it is. You know, that's the scene. Keep it, print it, sell it, shoot it. Good, we're good. Everyone go home. I don't know. It's weird. But, you know, Obi-Wan's great. Of course, the duel on Mustafar is great. I think it's a little over-choreographed. I think that, and I get it, they're two Jedi Masters essentially at their height of their power. But, well, technically Anakin is Darth Vader at the scene. But Obi-Wan versus Darth Vader, I'll say that. It is too over-choreographed. It kind of gets a little silly where they're just flopping and flipping and they're swinging like Tarzan. You know, I get it. But to me, the sequels have the best combat because it feels like they're trying to actively murder each other. It's not like a fencing match where they're trying to look awesome and badass, you know. That's my only issue. Again, I love the scene. I'm not hating on it. It's just that's what I felt. I felt it was a little bit too over-choreographed. But it is fun. The music's great. It's very intense. You know, very dark, very sad. This is probably the most sad Star Wars film. Obi-Wan versus Grievous, of course, we gotta go, hello there. You know what I mean? You'll move. General Kenobi! You know, that kind of stuff. It's all great stuff. But I think that, you know, Palpatine, the scene where him and Anakin are watching that weird bubble play, I think that's a great scene. One of my favorite scenes in all of the 9 films is that scene. So yeah, I mean, I love Episode 3. I think it's the best one. But there are a few issues. I'm not going to pretend there aren't. But I do think that there are some really awesome ideas in there, and that they're, for the most part, executed really well. Now, that was the prequels. Again, Episode 1 is good. Episode 2 is kind of bad sometimes, but it's still fun to watch, and Episode 3 is pretty freaking great. Again, it's my least favorite trilogy. I don't hate it, but again, I do have a lot of problems with, of course, the acting and the writing. Again, just some, you know, stupid, silly things, like having a freaking, you know, cord in your shot, not CGIing it or rotoscoping it out, whatever. You know, having just little things like Padme talking to herself in Episode 1. It's just, you know, simple things they could have edited or reshot. It feels very quick, very fast-paced, and kind of lazy at times. But I do enjoy them for what they are. I think that they are very well-made films for the most part, but when it comes down to especially comparing the prequels to the originals or the sequels in terms of acting and writing, these fall apart pretty freaking quick. But they are fun to watch, and I do understand why people think this is the best trilogy. However, in terms of how they're made, I can never understand that. But in terms of the lore and what happens in them, it's fantastic, and I love every second of it. So again, I'm not a prequel hater, but I'm not a prequel, you know, the best thing in the universe kind of guy, but I do love them all. You know what I mean? I'm not going to... It's hard to explain, because I have issues with them, but I still love them. You know what I mean? It's kind of weird. But I think that the best thing to come out of the prequels is, of course, the Clone Wars animated movie and the animated TV show. That, upon watching the Clone Wars film and the Clone Wars show, all 7 seasons, that show has made me love the prequels 10 times more than I would have if I didn't effing watch that show. Because upon watching Episode 1, 2, everything Clone Wars, and then 3, the way apparently you're supposed to do it, which is the way I do it, I think that it builds the world of the prequels, and it builds the characters and the you know, lore and the plot and everything far better than just watching 1, 2, 3. You know, and the Bad Batch is fantastic too. I can't wait for Season 2 of that. That's, you know, more or less after Episode 3. But, you know, I really enjoyed the Clone Wars. I think it's a fantastic, easily the best Star Wars show in my opinion. I've seen them all. I love them all. Even Resistance. I love them all. But the Clone Wars is my favorite. So again, that was my video on the prequels. I do love them. I have some problems with the acting and the writing. There are some really cringy moments in Episode 2, but for the most part, the plot is good. The action scenes are really freaking cool, and you know, I enjoy every inch of it. The sequels will always be superior in my opinion, but I'm not bashing those that love the prequels. I think they're awesome too. Again, I have a few issues, but still, they're really freaking fun to watch. So tell me in the comments what your favorite prequel movie is. Again, mine is Revenge of the Sith. I'm going to come back in a few days here and do why I love the originals. You know, so this is just a, you know, it's just a really unique topic, because I wasn't going to do this. I was just going to do the sequels, but, you know, someone was like, do prequels. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm doing it. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and, you know, leave a comment, again, down below what your favorite prequel film is. And if you're excited to play the prequels in LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, I know I am. I'm going to be going 1 to 9 for YouTube, so I'm going to start with Phantom Menace, so that should be really cool. Again, I have some issues with them, but I do think they're very fun to watch, and I love them for what they are. They're canon fun, and, you know, back in the day, man, when the prequels came out, it was just... It was like Hate City, you know. George Lucas at my childhood. Jar Jar Binks is horrible. You know, the hate for the prequels was effing insane and completely unneeded. You know what I mean? There's a difference between having a problem and straight up hating something. I have problems with the writing and acting, but I'm not going to hate the films. Just say, I'm not watching that again, or this is horrible, or screw the director, or I hope they die, or, you know, that's a fake fan. You can't be a fan of something and hate it. You can be a fan of something and dislike it. There's a difference, again, between disliking and hating. Because when you hate something, that leads to delete it from canon, making fun of people, that kind of, and I can go on and on about these idiots online, but still, I think that the hate for the prequels was far overblown. I think people are starting to appreciate them more, which is great, but however, that's kind of leading from prequels good, sequels horrible, which I'm assuming in a few more years, the fans will wake up and they'll start to realize the sequels are fantastic too. But again, prequels are great, have some issues, but still I think they're really fun to watch, and I think that they're really entertaining, and, you know, it's Star Wars, you know, I mean, there's no really bad Star Wars film. I have problems with Episode 2, but it's fun to watch, and I love watching, you know, I never groan. Like, when I get to Episode 1, 2, and 3, I'm never like, God, I hate, you know, I'm like, let's go, prequels, you know what I mean? So I love them, so still, you know, sequels, better, prequels, really good still, and I really enjoy them. So again, next time we're going to go to the originals, my second favorite trilogy out of the 3, cannot wait to do that. Again, all Star Wars is good. Yes, including the prequels. Thank you guys, and we'll see you in the next video.